I just want to thank you for all the comments from last week's video. So many of you have given me tips on using epoxy putty. You're awesome. Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I like making things out of paper, and I like making things cooler. Especially my figures. Sometimes figures don't look all that screen accurate. All they need is a bit of touch up here and there to unleash their hidden potential. I also love using everyday tools and materials to recreate iconic scenes from my figures, so they can shine on my display. Subscribe to my channel and join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Last week, I customized the underwhelming Cersei figure and made her look more like her movie self. It turned out amazing. Check it out. Here's the other figure I got with the 40% off, Ikaris. I figured out why this wave is so disappointing. It's because the two lead figures of the wave are underwhelming. Cersei's suit is not screen accurate at all. Ikaris isn't as bad, but it's still got a major issue. Let's deconstruct this figure. There's an FAQ on the paint and brushes I use in the description box below. The paint apps on Ikaris is actually very good. It's a bit hard to notice, but they actually used a couple different blue finishes on the figure. So I want to exaggerate the blue a bit. The back is missing some paint details though. It took me a while to notice this. But the proportions of the figure are also slightly off. I find the skirt and the feet to be a bit too big, giving Ikaris a bit of a jester vibe. I'm gonna trim the skirt and feet down slightly. The face though is the main issue. It just doesn't resemble Richard Madden at all. Richard had a very distinct look. He's got a relatively square face. He's always sporting a stubble and his hair is always done nicely. This head sculpt did not capture any of that. They gave him this spiky hair, small forehead, and not enough facial hair. Another thing that appears to be off are his eyes. I think they sculpted them too far apart. I'm gonna try my best to reshape his head. Not sure if I'll be able to change that much. But what I'm excited about is his suit. I think I can make it look even cooler. So, can I make it? Let's start with the skirt. Just like Cersei, this area is unintentionally taking the attention away from the upper body. It's also all connected at the front, so that limits possibility too. So first, let me separate the main front piece from the side pieces. The skirt is made out of soft plastic, so I can just use a regular cutting knife. Alright, now the main piece is separated and there are more depth already. Now I'm going to trim the side pieces a bit, to make them shorter and more angular. Okay, I'm using these giant cutters again, so I can do it in one smooth cut. It still looks a bit big. Let me trim it a bit more. Okay, now I'm going to make a few more cuts on the side pieces to give it more flexibility. I'm back. I separated the back pieces too. I'm pretty happy with the overall shape now. Now let me sand his feet down. This is a very slow process. I didn't want to use a knife, as the cuts would be too harsh. But I'm not sure if it's noticeable. It's a bit pointier and less bulky now. I'm going to do the other foot off camera. Alright, that took a while. But here are both feet sanded. I swear they're smaller now. Okay, time to paint. I gotta patch up the boots first. Not sure if my blue will match the figure, but I prefer them to be blue rather than purple. The blue matches the figure, but it's way too bright. I generally like darkening the shoes or feet of a figure. To me, darker colors appear heavier visually, so having darker colors at the bottom of a figure helps ground the figure, if that makes sense. I'm brushing a thin layer of black onto his boots. But to go with the splotchy / splattery look of the Eternals, I'm not going to fully blend the colors. I just want the boots to be a shade or two darker than the rest of the outfit. Alright, onto the torso. The one crucial design element that's missing is the darker chest piece. If you look closely, you can actually see that Hasbro used a more reflective metallic paint here when compared to the shoulders. So that's cool, but the colors are too similar that it's not noticeable at a glance. I'm gonna dab a thin layer of black over this area to darken it. The plastic here is quite slippery, so the paint isn't sticking well. But it's okay, I'll add more layers as this dries. Just like the thirsty figure, I want to have a separation between the upper and lower body. Painting the belt darker will break up the costume visually, so it looks less like a onesie. I'm also going to rub a bit of black onto the skirt, to add more depth and shading to it. This will also break up the skirt and the legs, so it's not the same shade of blue on the lower body. Speaking of shading, let me add a bit of shading onto the back as well, and some under the arms. I'm trying to subtly exaggerate the shades, to make the areas that should be darker, so the metallic blue can pop against it. The Eternals costumes all have this subtle splashy splattery effect, so I'm going to recreate that effect by dabbing a different shade of blue onto the suit. Just a bit here and there. Ooh, it's creating this marbling effect. Nice. Okay, I like how the blue looks. Let me apply a layer of matte varnish to seal and protect the paint first. I'm applying this to the areas that are made out of fabric, such as the shoulders, the lower half of the torso, the underside of his arms, and the upper legs, and I'll let it dry. Next, I'm going to apply glossy varnish over the leftover areas to make them shinier. The main area I want to focus on is the chest area. And a bit of varnish on the shoulder pads and gauntlets. I also decided to do it on this belt too, to emphasize that upper and lower body division. And the main piece of his skirt. I'm basically using the varnishes to create different finishes and breaking up the costume, so it doesn't look like the figure is made out of one single blue plastic. Can't forget the boots. Look at that. The outfit looks beautiful. This blue is so pleasant to look at. I also love the way it reflects light. Now all there's left are the gold lines. The gold is actually pretty good already. All I really need to do is fill in the missing lines and do some minor touch-ups. Alright, I'm done with the gold. I added the missing gold lines to his arms, his back, and his legs. The blue and gold colors complement each other so well. Now this is optional, but I like adding a bit of brown to gold. In my opinion, it makes the gold appear more realistic when it looks slightly aged, or bronzed. I'm back. I built up the black a little bit more, and added a little bit more glossy varnish. I'm very happy with how it looks, without the head. Oh, that reminds me. This figure came with two heads. I don't like this one. He looks like he's wearing some funky glasses, heading to a party or something. This one isn't any better. He looks like he stayed up all night studying for the wrong final exam, and the exam is in 2 hours. The most obvious issue is the hair. This hair they gave him looks a bit wild for Ikaris. In the movie, his hair is nicely combed and done, but here, they gave him this really spiky hair. So I'm going to use my knife to remove all the spikes. It's a little dangerous to do it on my stick. I have to be careful so I don't cut myself. But this is what it looks like with one side trimmed. I could have sanded it down, but I still want a bit of texture. I think it looks better. Let me do the other side off camera so I don't lose my fingers. Done. Richard Madden has a square-shaped face, so I also went in and cut out small chunks of hair here to enlarge his forehead. Alright, let's see if I can alter his face with paint. They gave him these forehead wrinkles, which is kinda neat, but I think they gave him too much. It makes him look stressed, so I'm gonna try and reduce the appearance of the wrinkles a bit. The eyes. I don't really know how to fix the eyes. They're too far apart and too large. I can try and reduce the size of the eyes with a bit of shading, but I don't want him to look like he hasn't slept for years. Oh, he's also missing his stubble. Stubbles are tricky to do. There needs to be enough paint so it shows, but if there's too much paint, it's going to look like a full beard. There's a very delicate balance. I'm going to slowly build up the color, starting with a lighter tan color, then with the brown. I also need to give his sideburns back too. This head is so inaccurate. Oh boy, I think I'm adding too much stubble. Let me try and patch it up with a bit of a lighter color. Okay, I need to fix this off camera. I need to bring it closer to my face so my hands aren't as shaky. Okay, I'm stopping here. I think the stubble looks good. I'm gonna mess it up if I work on it more. Let me finish the sideburns. Gotta make it look seamless. There's no molded details here. He kinda looks like Bucky. Maybe it's the eyebrows. Richard has thick eyebrows. Let me try and thicken them a bit with my brush. And last but not least, his hair. Ikaris has dark brown hair, almost black, so I'm going to darken the hair here with a thin wash of black. And before I show you what the final head looks like, let me quickly work on the other head. I pretty much did the same thing, trimming off the spikes of his hair and gave him stubble. Fortunately, I don't have to do his eyes again. But I do want to see if I can make his eye beam effect more three-dimensional. First, I'm going to rub a bit of silver onto the center of the effect. Not bad. I can see the details a bit more like this. But it's a bit too silver now, so I'm going to dab a bit of gold onto it. Here's the head with the eye beam effect. Oh, I actually really like this head now. He still looks like he's wearing some sort of glasses, but it looks way better. And here's the other head. I tried. The eyes are still too far apart and I can't really fix that. But he doesn't look too bad from the side or at an angle. Just not straight on. He looks like a different person from the front. Here's the finished figure. I love how the suit turned out. There's this richness to the blue. The original isn't that bad, but it looks more like a piece of armor now. What do you think? Do you like what I've done? Let me know down below. Here's what the figure looks like up close. I give the suit 10 out of 10. The face is an improvement, but it still looks like a cosplayer more than Richard Madden himself. Although the head isn't perfect, I still love what I've done overall. The feet no longer looks oversized, and the face now somewhat looks like Richard Madden. He looks better at certain angles, so it's not all that bad. I really enjoy the different finishes on the suit. It's so fun to just spin the figure around and admire the way it reflects light. Surprisingly, I like the eye beam head a lot more than I thought. Maybe it's because his actual eyes are hidden, so he looks more like Ikaris. Another thing that I forgot and just noticed is that the skirt no longer bothers me. The little bit of trimming helped, and the cuts also allow his legs to bend forward too, giving Ikaris a bit more range of motion. I still think this figure isn't worth getting at full price due to its inaccuracies, which is a shame, because besides Cersei and Ikaris, I actually think the rest of the wave isn't too bad. But the two lead characters just happen to be the weakest of the wave, making the entire wave that much less desirable. I don't think I'll be getting the rest of the wave. I feel like if I get more, I have to get the entire wave. Unless they are on clearance and I can get the rest at a very low price. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with just Cersei, Ikaris, and Thena. Cersei and Ikaris look amazing together. The perfect couple. Alright, let's end this with the photo shoot. Starting with this head. Ikaris is quite photogenic. This is a great image. The energy effect looks a bit like lightning, but I don't mind it. it is hard to capture energy effect on a physical object. The lack of eyes actually help here. Now I can appreciate the intricate designs of the outfit. And that beautiful blue. Okay fine, I'll show you the other head. He looks alright at an angle, but definitely looks off straight on. Just gotta turn his head to the side a bit. Oh, he also looks better further back. Maybe that's the key. Keeping Ikaris far away and everything will be better. Maybe that's why he flew into the sun. Keeping his distance. Okay, jokes aside, I actually am glad I got this figure. It does look a bit jarring at first, but once I trimmed the skirt, sanded down his feet, and gave him a haircut, there's actually a pretty decent figure here. And best of all, Ikaris and Ceetain work so well as a pair. The colors are so pleasant to look at. What about you? Do you think he looks like Richard Madden? Sometimes I see the resemblance, other times I don't. Anyway, give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see me fix more figures. Stay inspired and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you.